When you think of BMW, the first car that comes to mind for most people is the 3 Series. It's the eternal sports sedan, spanning 7 generations. In this video, we take a look at the BMW 318i Sport and see if it still deserves the sports sedan title. Let's do this! Hello guys, I'm Regan and welcome back to another car review. If you're new to my channel, I hope you click that subscribe button for your regular dose of Philippine automotive content. If you're my subscriber already, well, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. After, you click that like button. Also, special thanks to SMC Asia Car Distributors for graciously lending us the 318i Sport to do this review. If you want the full BMW experience, head on down there to their flagship showroom in Green Hills, San Juan. Once again, thank you so much, Boss RSA, for this awesome opportunity. The 7th generation 3 Series is in a bit of an odd position. It's grown in size through the years, such that it's almost the same size as most mid-size sedans nowadays. In fact, it's almost the same size as the current generation Mazda 6. Now, despite growing in both size and weight, this G20 3 Series still retains that delicious rear-wheel drive layout that should make a lot of BMW purists happy. Now what we have here is the base model BMW 318i Sport, and it retails for 3,190,000 Philippine pesos. For an entry-level Euro luxury sedan, that's a pretty decent price, but let's see if we also get a good amount of luxury features inside. More importantly, let's find out if this 3 Series still drives like a proper BMW. The front fascia of the 3 Series still remains largely the same. In fact, you could even mistake this as a facelift of the 6th generation 3 Series. It still has that classic BMW look, from that signature kidney grille to those stylized LED angel eye DRLs. Of course, we get fully adaptive LED headlights here and LED turn signals. Now that kidney grille is an active grille where it remains closed to improve on your fuel efficiency and aerodynamics, but it can open in case the engine requires more cool air. Now, speaking of cool air, we also have a functional air inlet here in the center of the front bumper to serve cool air to the radiator, and a pair of air vents on the sides to serve cool air to your front brakes. It's a nice and functional look, guys, and to be honest, it looks really darn good for this BMW. The side profile of the 3 shows off more hints that it's in fact a sports sedan. First, we get that sports sedan silhouette with its long hood and its short overhangs. And next, we have zero chrome to be found here. Not even on the window sills, guys, just the way I like it. Now third, look at the size of those wheels. Now the 318i Sport is the base model, but despite being a base model, it has 18-inch alloy wheels that has 225/45 R18 Michelin Pilot Sport 4 run flat tires. Now these Michelin Pilot Sports are performance tires, so you know that this 3 is a proper sports sedan. Another hint is the brake calipers. Take a look inside those wheels, guys, and you'll see that the position of the brake calipers in the front and the rear are located closer to the center of the car, which should help give it a more even weight distribution. Now this brake caliper position can only be seen in cars with a sporty character. Now, the ground clearance of the 3 stands at 136 millimeters, which is a bit on the low side and another proof that this is a proper sports sedan. Now, when you open the doors and you close it, you'll also hear that loud and satisfying heavy thud that you can expect from a European luxury sedan. Now finally, guys, we also have power folding side mirrors here with LED turn signals, and these side mirrors also have that BMW carpet light, which is a puddle lamp, and it should help you avoid stepping on anything nasty. The rear end of the 3 gets more hints of its sporty character. We get smoked out L-shaped LED taillights here and also a pair of functional exhaust pipes. Now, that's not so bad for a base model. Now the trunk also has a kick function. So all you have to do is this, and it opens by itself. Now that we have this thing open, you'll see that you get 480 liters of trunk capacity here, which is not really the biggest in its class, but it's still good enough to house a medium-sized luggage. Now, the thing is, I expected it to have back seats that fold flat, but it doesn't really have that, guys. So, yeah, that's a bit of a bummer that this 3 Series cannot really expand its cargo space. So, you'll just have to make do with 480 liters. It does, however, have a power trunk function, so you just have to press this button, and the trunk automatically closes for you. The base model 318i Sport gets a 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged gasoline engine that puts out 156 horsepower and 250 Newton-meters of torque. Now, the power is sent to the right wheels via an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, what I like about this engine is the fact that maximum torque comes in as low as 1,300 RPM. So that means that if you're hooning it, yeah, the 3 can truly deliver the goods. Now, another hint that this 3 Series is a proper sports sedan is the fact that the engine is positioned right above the front axle and towards the center of the car. Now, that gives the 3 more of a front midship engine configuration, which helps with its weight distribution. Now, the fuel economy of this thing is also pretty good. On a heavy city drive, I was able to get 9.5 kilometers per liter in normal mode. Granted, the engine's I-stop feature helped a little bit to conserve fuel. But when I went on a highway run, I was able to get 18.5 kilometers per liter, which was also done in normal mode. And I drove like how I normally drive. So that means those fuel economy figures, those are pretty stellar. The cockpit is where all the magic happens in this 318i Sport. Now, the seats get Sensatec leather, which is vegan leather or BMW synthetic leather. It feels good to the touch, but it doesn't feel as plush or premium as the Napa or Dakota leathers that BMW uses in their higher models. Now, these seats are sport seats though, and they have power adjustments for both the driver and the passenger, and they even come with thigh support adjustments both for the front passenger and the driver's seats. Now, the steering wheel also has leather wrapping on it, and we have buttons for hands-free connectivity and cruise control, but I did notice that we don't get paddle shifters here. Now, I find that a bit of a miss, guys, because even in this base model 318i Sport, well, the 3 is still primarily a driver's car, and I would have loved to have paddle shifters on this thing. Now, the good thing though is the wheel also adjusts for tilt, and it also telescopes, which is par for the course for these entry-level European luxury sedans. Now, when you go over to the gauge cluster here, it's a fully digital display, but it's laid out like an analog format. Now, I love this about BMW because it's straightforward, it's clean, and it gives me all the information I need to know when I'm driving the car. However, there is a bit of a quirk in this instrument gauge cluster. You see, the 3 Series comes with 3 drive modes. You've got Eco Pro, which I don't use. You've got Comfort, which is like normal mode. And you have Sport mode. Now, if you're in Comfort mode, the color of the gauges are in full red. But when you shift it to Sport mode, the color of the gauges becomes white and the word Sport just comes out at the lower part. Now, I find it a bit weird, or maybe it's just me, guys, but I normally associate the color red with Sport. So the fact that we get white for Sport and red for Comfort, it's a bit confusing for me. Now, granted, the white font is a bit more legible and easier to read, so maybe that's the logic behind using a white color for Sport mode. Now, when you go over to the infotainment system, we have here an 8.8-inch touchscreen infotainment system with BMW's iDrive. Now, the problem here is the connectivity. You see, we only get Bluetooth connectivity here. We don't get Apple CarPlay. We don't get Android Auto. Now, that's another bummer for me, guys, because, well, I expect to get CarPlay and Android Auto, especially in this, well, entry-level luxury sedan from Europe. Now, another bit of a bummer is the fact that we only get a reverse camera here. We don't get a 360-degree view camera. Now, granted, the image quality of the reverse camera is on the decent side. It's quite usable, guys. But I would also want to get a 360-degree view camera in this G23 series. So when it comes to the convenience and tech features, it's a little bit behind versus the other offerings. Now, the good thing though about the iDrive system is that it's quite intuitive, plus it gives you a lot of vehicle information that you'd like to see. Like for example, we have the horsepower and torque display here, and you can even show your fuel economy performance. So at least we have that. Now, when you go down to the climate control system here, we have a triple zone fully automatic climate control system, and the air conditioning is pretty cold. Now, when you go down further from there, we have another miss, in my opinion, because we have here a cubby, a center cubby, that has a little pad that says that it's a wireless charging pad for your cell phone. The thing is, I tried it with my phone and with several other phones, but it just doesn't work. So this is more of a design, guys. It's a design piece. So if you want to charge your cell phone, you'll have to use the USB-A port that's found in the center of your cup holders. Now, speaking of cup holders, let's subject it to my clean canteen test. Yep, the 318i Sport cup holders passes my clean canteen test, and it's a good and snug fit. Now, going from your cup holders there, we have here your shifter for your 8-speed automatic, and right beside that to the left, we have a row of buttons here. One button to turn off traction control, another button which says P, which is your parking assistant, because, well, this 318i Sport can help you parallel park if you need it. But since I'm a certified Tito of Manila, guys, well, I will not admit that I need a parking assistant to do parallel parking, and no Tito of Manila will ever admit to that. Now, we have another button here called A and Off, which turns off your engine stop system or I-stop system. And we have a silver painted engine start button here, and of course the buttons for your drive modes. Now, below that, we have a button for your electronic parking brake with an auto hold feature. And on the other side of the shifter, we have the master control knob, which controls your infotainment system. Now, when you look at the cabin materials that's been used here in the 3, despite being a luxury sedan from BMW, we get a little bit of a bare cabin here. Now, granted, the materials used are soft touch. We've got soft touch materials on the top of the dashboards, on the door cards. Yeah, but the elbow rest on the door cards is a bit hard, and we also get hard plastics at the sides of your center tunnel. So yes, it's a minimalist cabin, but the good thing here though is the fit and finish is fantastic, which is what you'd expect from a European marquee like BMW. Given the larger overall size of this 318i Sport, we get a good amount of backseat space right here at the back. I'm 5'6", guys, and this is my driving position, and I get around 6 inches of knee room here and a good 5 inches of headroom. Now, the seats are also designed quite well and have a good scallop to it, such that it would hold me nice and snugly as I sit here in the back seat. However, I did notice that the center tunnel is a little bit on the tall side, so if you put a third person here in the middle, well, their footroom will be impinged a little bit. So that tells me that this back seat is really more ideal for 2 passengers instead of 3. However, for something that's more ideal for 2 passengers, I find that having no center armrest here to be a big bummer. You see, we don't get a center armrest here in the 318i Sport, and I feel that it's only the local product planner of BMW that omitted that, because this thing would have been ideal if it had, well, a center armrest with a pair of cup holders. Now, aside from that, guys, at least we still get a good amount of toys here. We've got a couple of rear AC vents, we've got the third automatic climate control zone here, and a pair of USB-C charging ports. We also have a 12-volt outlet, and it tells me that BMW already designed the G23 series with keeping in mind that some BMW owners would probably spend their time here at the back seat. But still, it remains a mystery why we don't get a center armrest here if that's the case. So yeah, I really just believe that it's probably the local product planners who maybe missed out on this. And hopefully, they will rectify that soon. Alright guys, so we're now driving the BMW 318i Sport. And first up, it feels heavy. You know that you're driving a heavier car. In fact, it doesn't feel as tossable as, let's say, the 218 Gran Coupe that I tested out a few months back. It feels more like a GT rather than a surgical instrument for canyon carving. Now, another character trait of this 318i that I love so much is that you've got so much usable torque that's accessible down low. As I mentioned, maximum torque comes in as low as 1,300 RPM, and I love that about this car. However, when you wring it out and you reach the top end of the rev range, it feels like it starts to run out of breath. So most of the usable torque can be found at the bottom part, but at the top end, it starts to flatten out. Now, another fun fact I discovered with this thing is when you toggle it in sport mode, well, that engine I-stop system gets disabled. So it seems that it wants to be at the ready to just hit go and accelerate when you're in sport mode. Now, when it comes to the sitting position, well, BMW knows how to give you the perfect driving position here. As I mentioned, these are sport seats. These are practically like semi-buckets already. And I've got a good racing style sitting position right here behind the wheel of the BMW 318i. Steering feel is on point. I believe this is an electric power assist system, but you've got a good amount of heft and feedback here. Granted, it's not the same as the hydraulic power assist steering assemblies found in older Beamers, but we do have a good amount of feedback. Now, a good thing here also is this 318i turns and takes corners like a proper rear-wheel drive vehicle, despite the added weight. You also know that you're driving the ultimate driving machine, especially when it comes to the brakes. You see, even this base model 318i Sport has a good brake feel to it. It's properly tuned, and I love that I have a good amount of bite even when I just tap on that brake pedal. So yes, that is another testament that this is in fact a sport sedan. Now, when it comes to its straight line acceleration, well, this 318i Sport only has 156 horsepower, but BMW was able to tune the transmission to maximize all that horsepower and all that torque. You see, we've got a very short first and second gear when it comes to ratio, but the third gear is pretty tall. So if you're just sprinting from stoplight to stoplight, that usable torque and that short first and second gears will help you win a lot of stoplight drag races. When it comes to cabin comfort and NVH feels, well, the NVH levels of the 318i Sport is phenomenal, guys. I mean, we've got a really quiet ride right here inside the cabin of the 318i Sport. This is what I'd expect from a luxury European sports sedan. Awesome, guys. Overall, guys, well, what can I say? The 318i Sport has grown up, matured even. It lost some playful character in favor of comfort, but it still drives like a proper rear-wheel drive BMW sports sedan. When push comes to shove, guys, well, this 318i Sport, even in the base model, guys, can still deliver the goods. The BMW 318i Sport still retains the character and performance of a proper sports sedan, but has gained some maturity in the way it conducts itself. It may favor fuel efficiency and comfort now more than ever, but it can still deliver sharp handling and engagement when it's needed. It's a careful balance of performance and comfort, and in my opinion, still stands as the benchmark of what a proper sports sedan should feel like. Thanks for watching.